Hey guys, it's Thanimal, and today I'm joined with my girlfriend Julie. And
Hi!
Hello! And we're going to be talking about Magic the Gathering today, so we're super excited. We got a whole list of things to talk about, and we could probably talk for longer than this video is going to be, so we're going to condense it and we're going to start talking. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go on the Gatherer and have something, do something that Julie and I actually do from time to time, which is to click the random card button and just kind of, we'll just see what random card pops up and we'll talk about it. Okay, so we got Inferno Trap. All right, so let's make that big so people can see it. No.
The Trap Cycle.
The Trap Cycle. There we go. You guys can look it up. Inferno Trap. Okay, so this trap is 3 and a red for an instant. However, it only costs 1 red if you've been dealt damage by 2 or more creatures this turn. Cool. So it only costs 1 red if you've been hit twice. And if you do get it, it deals 4 damage to target creature.
And it has great flavor text. Do you smell something burning?
I like that. I really like that. Art by Philip Straub. Cool. So I've never personally played with the Trap Cycle. Did you ever play with it?
I never personally played with it, but I've seen the Trap Cycle a little bit.
Cool.
I joined during Innistrad, so Zendikar had already cycled out by the time that I joined Magic.
Yeah. I've always wanted to. Maybe this is a card we should definitely put this card in our cycle cube, which we'll talk about in a later video, because it's still in its early phases. But so I've never quite played with them, so I don't know how effective they are. I think in limited, they're probably something you want to put in there, because 4 mana for 4 damage to a creature, it is removal. It's not pre-removal; it's removal. And the only downside is I feel like if you're getting hit with 2 creatures, you have worse problems than killing 1 creature. And I think that for the mana that it costs, well, actually it only costs 1 mana, but I feel like if you're getting hit with multiple creatures, you want to deal like 2 damage to 2 creatures or something
and
like
that's
that.
kind of the difficulty that Zendikar had sometimes, is that they made you want to wait. Like, there was kickers and multi-kickers and stuff like these traps that made it so that you wanted to wait until Magical Christmas Land to cast your spells.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily true. I think that certain players would want to get all these abilities. You know, Timmies really want to get all these extra abilities. But I feel like kickers have always been an excellent card type because it allows you to have some flexibility. It's very similar to Morph. It's very similar to Evoke in the fact that you can... It has this big body to it, like this is a 4 mana red burn spell, which is really expensive in terms of burn spells. Or you can actually have it for a lot less.
Yeah.
And a good Magic player, this actually does separate the good and bad Magic players, because a bad Magic player will hold on to this until they get hit with 2 creatures, instead of removing one of those creatures and being able to block the second. And so I feel like this actually does separate the good and bad Magic players, the ones who know when to morph as opposed to play it outright. It's the same thing with Cons of Tarkir, you know, or not Cons of Tarkir, I think Figure Forges has
Manifest?
No, not Manifest, Dash. You know, a good Magic player knows when to dash Goblin Hill Cutter and when to play him outright. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I like I said, I can't speculate on this too much because I've never actually played with it. But I like these cards that have these options. Options are better in Magic, in my opinion. So yeah, that's our random card of the day. Let's see what's on our docket today. Okay, first we're going to talk about stuff that's kind of in the distant future of Magic right now.
What's been recently announced.
Yes. We don't know too much about the sets. But
I find it very ironic that we happen to pull a random card from the Zendikar block because we are returning to Zendikar.
No! So the new set that's going to be coming out in the first ever 2-block set, what, is Battle for Zendikar. And let me look at you. Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. We don't know too much about it because they won't start announcing stuff for it until September. So it's going to be the new thing after Dragons of Tarkir and Cons all wraps up. But I am so pumped. It makes sense for us to go there. And there's actually some people who did some research, and there's a 7-year gap between original Mirrodin and Scars and original Ravnica and Return to Ravnica, so they were anticipating that we would go back to Zendikar sometime soon. We're going a little bit earlier than 7 years, but we shouldn't complain.
Honey, did you see this?
No.
Alright, view image. Okay, this is an image. Let me bigify it. Yeah.
Too big.
Too big. Is this it? Alright. Okay. So this is an image that we actually just saw. And does that look like Gideon to you? I think
that looks like Gideon.
I think it looks like Gideon.
Wasn't Gideon like introduced in the Zendikar block?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know enough about it. But still, that's Gideon, and he's about to battle some big Mama Jamma right there. That's really cool.
And I don't recognize the Eldrazi, but I'm pretty sure that's an Eldrazi. I don't know about you, but big fat giant monster thing says Eldrazi to me.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing: is that big fat monster thing from Zendikar. He's on one of those cube thingies. Hedrons. And so there's a lot of speculation. I mean, we don't want to get too crazy into this, but honestly, there's a lot of speculation that could be happening. For instance, Zendikar fetchies, are they coming back?
We could see more with like Ugin coming back and like all three of the planeswalkers, because the white planeswalker for the new commander set is the planeswalker that was the third planeswalker that locked away the Eldrazi 1,000 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, so there's a lot of things, and again, we don't want to get too crazy about this because we could be like, oh my gosh, we got Zendikar fetches and Eldrazi and Tarmogoyf too. You know, we could really get crazy about this.
Yes,
and I think,
we really could.
And I think the most important thing is all we know is that it's going to be in Zendikar, and there's probably going to be Gideon. And that's it. So
yes,
we've got to cool our horses because I had this guy and he was like, Figure Forge, there's going to have Eldrazi because some little connection thing. It's like, just chill, wait for it to happen. It'll get spoiled. And honestly...
Yeah, and we can speculate more once there are actual spoiler cards in September and October.
Yeah. And there's tons of other stuff that we haven't mentioned yet. For instance, one of them is Magic Origins. Now this is this is going to be
look up Lily.
You look up Lily. So okay. Magic Origins is set to be the last core set that Magic is going to put out. And instead
Unless
of it,
they decide to pick it up again.
Yeah, which they might. You know, you never know. Magic can change their minds. You know, you've seen that with Jace the Mind Sculptor. Anyways, so instead of calling it just M16, they've decided to call it Magic Origins. And the reason why they call it Magic Origins is because they're going to be going to the origin stories of
five iconic planeswalkers.
Now, I love this concept. If any of you have seen the movie X-Men Wolverine Origin, that's actually a really cool movie. Like, I don't necessarily like superhero movies, but that's a really cool movie. And it goes into the backstory of Wolverine, which is fantastic.
And they're not the first ones to go like into superhero origins, like things like Batman Begins.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. You know,
stuff like that.
And they're always really, really good. And so I love this idea because I think it adds a ton more depth to these planeswalkers. For instance,
they said that, like, in the preview trailer that they had, they showed silhouettes of 5 planeswalkers.
Yes. And I don't remember all. I think it was Nissa for green.
Gideon, Chandra, Jace, Lily.
Jace and Lily. And so we can go to these backstories, which I think is phenomenal because a lot of these didn't really get backstories. And so I think this is just going to be really, really cool. It's going to add some depth to them. It's going to add a ton of lore, which is going to be great. And so far the spoilers have been phenomenal.
We only had one.
We still only have one?
Yes.
Okay, but this one's really, really cool. So I'm gonna let Julie introduce this because she loves. Well, you do your thing. You do your thing.
Flip cards are back.
Flip cards. So I know you love that because you loved Innistrad.
I started in Innistrad, and I was drawn to the concept of Magic the Gathering by Cloistered Youth herself. Because I'm like, this is a story card. Look at this. It goes back and forth.
It's like a kid with one of those books that you flip and the thing moves, and it's like, woo!
Pop-up books?
Yeah.
Alright, so the only card we have spoiled for Magic Origins is Liliana's Planeswalker card, which is a flip card that starts off as a legendary creature, which means that she can be a commander. Yeah.
I like it.
But she starts off as Liliana, Heretical Healer.
And I just put it out there, I think it's phenomenal that she starts off as a healer and then ends up as a necromancer. Love the lore. Love that lore. I can't wait to learn more.
Yes. A 2/3 with lifelink, human cleric. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile Liliana, Heretical Healer, then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control.
Mm-hmm.
If you do, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield.
Yeah. And, okay, so a couple things to talk about this. First of all, I think it's hilarious that a mythic is arguably not as good as Vampire Nighthawk. Like, she doesn't have flying, she has lifelink, but no death touch, and that was an uncommon, so I think that's hilarious. But, yeah.
I think Vampire Nighthawk was kind of a mistake.
Yeah, it probably should have been a rare.
Because, I mean, they have the same converted mana cost, too.
Yeah, exact same. 1 and 2 black.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the idea... Okay, so I was talking to Julie about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about a story of a young healer turning to necromancy. And I thought, what if somebody she loved died and she didn't get the opportunity to heal them?
So she became desperate and would do anything to bring them back to life.
Yeah.
And she comes back into play, transformed into her Liliana deviant necromancer form with 1 zombie.
Yes. And I think it's also interesting. I mean, the non-token creature thing just makes sure that token shenanigans can't happen.
Yeah.
But the fact that when another, not just her, because that would make sense, if she dies, she comes back. But no, it makes sense to lore if she's in love with someone and
or they're really close to her, like family.
Yeah, and then that person dies and she turns into a necromancer because one of your other... I just love the lore. I just can't stop thinking about how cool that design is. Props to whoever thought about that,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about Magic is that it really takes these lores and puts them into card form seamlessly. And it's also a very balanced, it's not completely bonkers. I love the flavor behind that.
Should I read her Planeswalker ability
stuff?
Oh,
heck yeah. Go ahead.
Liliana Deviant Necromancer.
Okay.
She starts out with 3 loyalty.
Okay, cool.
+2, each player discards a card.
Okay. Nah.
-X, return target non-legendary creature card with inverted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Cool.
-8, you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step.
Which is pretty amazing. That's
permanent grave betrayal.
Yeah, permanent grave betrayal, except minus the whole zombie sub-theme and plus one counter. But other than that, I mean, still, that's a pretty awesome... However, everybody discarding a card, like, I'm in no hurry to get Hellbent.
Yes.
Maybe in, like, a black and blue deck? No, this is. You could just put this in a black and blue deck, and discarding cards would be nothing when you're brainstorming and doing all these other things,
yes,
and
yes.
And I think that's a fantastic idea. But yeah, getting to her ultimate again, getting any Planeswalker's ultimate is going to be difficult. But I feel like Commander, you could really see some work with this.
Yes.
Because that emblem won't be going away, and if you can get her to ultimate and just pitch her. Oh my gosh, she's going to be absolutely phenomenal in that, because you'll just get, I mean, it's just going to be, all
living
that
the
stuff.
Dream. Living the dream.
Living the black dream, getting all your dead stuff, also put in a grave pack in there, I sacrifice a thing, your thing does, and I get it back, and oh my gosh, so much awesome stuff. So,
yes.
I think this is going to be seen more in
Commander-type formats?
Yeah, than in Standard, but again, I don't know. I'm not a Standard player. So, cool. A lot of cool stuff from that. Let's see.
Absolutely.
And so that's the only thing we really have spoiled. The rest of them are going to come out soon, but I think that right now it's spoiler season for
Dragons of Tarkir,
Dragons
which
of
is what
Tarkir.
we want to focus most of this podcast on.
Yes, even though the first, how long? Most of this has just been, oh my gosh, there's already 13 minutes in.
Whoops!
Oops! Sorry, there's a lot of really interesting things to talk about, honestly. So, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about Dragons of Tarkir.
Yes.
Now, sweetheart, how did we get to Dragons of Tarkir? What's the basic lore behind that?
The lore behind it is Khans of Tarkir. Sorin comes to Tarkir to go talk to Sarkin, who has voices in his head because he's crazy. And they decide to go back in time and change the event where Nicol Bolas and Ugin fight each other and Ugin dies, which leads to the downfall of dragons.
Yeah. So, from what I understand, Sarkin wasn't able to actually interfere with the actual fight itself.
Yes, but he was able to basically capture Ugin's soul in a hedron, essentially.
Yeah.
So,
and he was able to put him into a sleep that would last several hundred years. So he didn't actually die. Ugin didn't die. He still lost the battle, but he didn't die. So because of that, instead of all the Khans ruling Tarkir, now dragons are still there. Dragons are still ruling Tarkir. And there's a lot of interesting things that have already been said about the draft format. Now we're drafting Fate Reforged and Dragons of Tarkir instead of Khans of Tarkir. There's a lot of really interesting flavors here, but we're just going to be looking at the cards themselves.
Aren't we going to look at the symbol itself?
Yes, we are going to look at the symbol itself. Show them the symbol. So, honestly...
This looks a lot like the Khan symbol.
It honestly looks like the Khan symbol with the googly eyes put on there. Like, that's what it looks... Maybe not googly eyes, but it's just like, we're just going to put the... But, I mean, honestly, it's exactly what it is. It still has that same basic shape, but instead of a shield and sword, it's a dragon and tusks.
Yes.
Well, not tusks.
Fangs?
Fangs?
I mean, they kind of look like tusks.
I don't know why a dragon would have tusks, but anyways...
Loxodon dragons.
Loxodon dragons.
Has science gone too far? I blame the cynic.
I blame the cynic. Yes. Okay, so
I think I should tell you all about this new mechanic that is just like transcending.
No. I want to talk about this. Okay. So
introducing Mark Rosewater.
So we had Morph. Now Morph was actually given by the dragons to the people. Right? But as the different timelines changed, we wanted to have a different flavor of Morph. So we had Morph in Khans of Tarkir, and then we had Manifest, and Manifest was sort of like a more primitive version of Morph. Now we needed to make a third one that connects it all together. It's all Morph, so we decided to come up with Megamorph. It's like Morph, except +1/+1 counter. Right? So, Megamorph is the same as normal Morph, except it's Mega. And, yeah.
You can't do this.
I can't do it very long.
Oh, dear.
When we first heard about this, we laughed all night long. Because I'm really wizards.
Just like, seriously?
Really wizards.
Megamorph?
Megamorph.
The thing is, if you read the article that Mark Rosewater wrote called Imagine Dragons Part 1, he talks about the layers of like what it took to create Megamorph.
Yeah.
Originally they were thinking of something along the lines of making it an enchantment, an Auramorph, but that became Bestow and Theros.
Yeah, so that idea was stolen.
Then they decided to do Borf.
Borf, where's Borf? Where does it say Borf? Lower?
It's like Bear Morph.
Auramorph? Bear Morph, okay.
The idea, Dragons Criteria cards can be played not for 3 mana, but 2, as in a 2/2 for 2 mana. But then that made it so that you knew, okay, somebody's playing a Megamorph rather than just a normal morph.
And also another thing about that, like the whole idea of 3 mana for a 2/2 with an extra ability is great, but having 2 mana for a 2/2 is just, it seems a little, I mean, like a bear is just, it's just strictly better. Mm-hmm. As much as I make fun of Megamorph, I feel Megamorph is better than what they first did.
And then they tried a mechanic called Smorph.
This is called Smorph.
Supermorph. Which it came into play face down with a +1/+1 counter on it when it came face down.
Already, yeah.
Which was another thing that made it so that they could see, oh wait, we've got
we got a
Smorph.
A Smorph rather than I almost want to say Smurf.
They wanted to keep Morphs and Megamorphs a mystery. So that's why when they flipped the Megamorph, you got a +1/+1 counter as it flipped.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I like about it is that it you know, if you're playing with somebody, I actually think it'd be really cool to actually do the entire block draft, because someday it has a manifest or a morph. You have no idea.
And it gets really complicated.
Yeah, it does get really complicated. And also, let's look at Megamorph from an objective standpoint, because the name is kind of goofy. But honestly, Julie and I that night were actually looking at alternative names they could call Megamorph, and there really isn't any. There's like Supermorph. There's like. It's just, there's really nothing you can do. They had to stick with Megamorph. Yeah. But all joking aside, let's look at some of the cards that will have this on there. I'm trying to look up one. It's mono blue. And
Stratus Dancer.
No, it's not Stratus Dancer. It was just, let's see, where is it? It was actually, here it is. It's called, if you're following on Mythic Spoiler, it's called Gadul Lurker. Now this is a card that Graham talked about, if you know Loading Ready Run. He talked about this a lot. And here it is here.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the card. And it's 1 mana for a 1/1 and it can't be blocked. which is sort of like meh. If I'm running a blue deck,
it was the Triton Shorestalker in Journey to Nyx.
Yeah, and Triton Shorestalker wasn't honestly all that great.
It was very fun to build around in Limited.
Well, still, you have to be careful with it, because a 1/1 that's unblockable is not going to win you a game. No. 2 1/1 unblockables is not going to win you a game. You know, I feel like if you grabbed all of them, you wouldn't build a very good deck. As something to fill in your curve, great. But here you have this lurker. Now you can pay him for play at one mana 1/1, you're good. Or you can pay him for 3 mana, get a 2/2 out of it, unmorph him, and because he's a megamorph, he becomes a 2/2 unblockable. Now that puts your opponent at a 10-turn clock. And that's if you don't put buffs on him. Great. Keep in mind, we're going to be drafting this with Freight Reforged, so you're going to have rune marks dancing around. You put a rune mark on this thing, and this becomes a 4/4 unblockable. Might even have something like lifelink, you know, if you, well, actually, no, that'd be a really weird combination. Anyways, but still, that's the thing, is that this Megamorph turns this into a really, really good thing. And you can cast it for a 1/1, but with the Megamorph, it encourages you to Megamorph it.
Yes, it does.
And this
especially if they have added abilities.
Yeah, and this is an uncommon. And so I feel like Megamorph actually is a really interesting set idea, and I really like the actual mechanics of it, even if the name is kind of goofy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And that isn't the first time that they've had like a really goofy mechanic name.
Like?
Let me see. I'm thinking things like Constellation was kind of a goofy, especially since it was something that didn't really add anything to it.
The flavor wasn't really there, honestly.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, and I think it's probably not their best design choice for name, but there's not much they could get around it, and I really like the mechanic. It's going to be super fun to see how this plays in a limited format, such as a pre-release or draft or limited or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's actually get into more of the cards, because we've already gotten into some of the cards.
If you want to follow us along, you can go on mythicspoiler.com and look at the Dragons card of Tarkir. We're going through the brood.
Each brood.
So, like, instead of clans for the cons, they're calling it broods based off of the dragon that is in charge. Yeah.
So keep in mind that if you're familiar with Cons of Tarkir, you have these 3-colored wedges that are ruled by these certain groups. These groups, and you're going to see this with these cards, most of these leaders with this new timeline are nothing special at all. And so it's going to be really interesting. We're going to go through each one of them.
Yes.
Right now, the leaders of these broods are Elder Dragons, which are 2-color dragons. They also have Lieutenant Dragons.
And they are the dragons... Sorry, I was about to cut in with the
no, that's fine, that's fine. Okay. So these are the Elder Dragons, and then the Lieutenant Dragons, which are also another rare dragon. And I think they also have a monocolored dragon associated with them as well. We're also going to look at another cycle, and this is as spoiled as the time we were recording this video.
Yes.
So...
Which is March 11th.
March 11th. Now we have to kind of go quickly because otherwise it's going to turn into an hour video very, very quickly. So let's just go through these very quickly.
Yes.
Honestly, actually, you know what? Let's just go through and just look at the dragon, the Elder Dragon, and also the
Fallen Khan.
The Fallen Khan. So first of all, we're looking at the Dromar's or Dromoka's brood. So let's look at Dromoka himself, legendary creature, Elder Dragon.
I think Dromoka's a girl, but yeah.
Sure. Okay. So she's 6 mana. So 4 and Selesnya. She can't be countered, which is nice.
Yes.
And Flying Lifelink. She's a 5/7. So that big butt. And your opponent can't cast spells during your turn. So. You said it earlier before we started filming. This card.
This card can go crazy. It like shuts down all like control decks.
Yeah, this is a anti-control deck stuff.
Yes.
So this is nice. Whether it's gonna see standard play, I doubt it. Six mana. I mean.
I can see it being a thing. I mean, if you get it there, it can't be countered, and it destroys all other counters. So it could be like sideboarding in for. If you're an Abzan deck facing control.
Yeah. Actually, thinking about Abzan decks, you have things like Siege Rhino. Games tend to go late. I don't see this being run as a 4-of because it's too expensive. But honestly, if you can get to Siege Rhino and get yourself a little bit of extra life, throw down one of these guys. I mean, heck, in the mirror match, you can just start bouncing off of people and gaining life. I mean, this can block Siege Rhino all day long and gain you 5 life while it's doing it, and kill the Siege Rhino. So it's possible we might see this in Standard, but honestly, most of these legendary creatures and Elder Dragons are going to be like, Commander players are just going to drool over them. Honestly, I'm drooling over it right now.
Yeah, that needs to go into your Gave deck.
Yeah. Alright, anyway, so let's look at the Fallen Khan. So Anafenza,
which is now a rare instead of a mythic.
Yep.
And the Dragon Lords are now mythics instead of normal rares.
Yeah,
which is very clever lore switch.
So Anafenza was the leader of the
Abzan clan.
Of the Abzan clan. So let's figure out what's big about her.
She is now Anafenza Kin Tree Spirit. Legendary Spirit Soldier, 2/2 for 2 white.
Okay, cool.
Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, bolster 1.
Non-token creature, wow. I like that. Although, of course, you know, me having a Gave Guru Sports deck, I wish it was just a creature, but that would be so busted.
Yes.
So where do you think she's going to shine? What format do you think she's really going to shine in?
Well, if you play Tiny Leaders, she's really fun as like a soldier.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But she's obviously going to be very good and limited and things like Commander where you could build around her.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure where she would truly shine. She might do well in Modern. Modern's a little too crazy.
I honestly don't know enough about Modern to make that assumption. Commander, I can see it filling out the curve. It's just a good value card. The Commander players are really, like, as opposed to all the bombs, getting there is the most important thing. So I think that Anafenza would be great. Heck, I might even run her in my white deck, just because it's a
Heliod deck.
Yeah, my Heliod deck, just because she's a nice solid body. You know, I mean, she's a bear.
Yeah.
And she has a really good upside. So
yes.
I can see, if I got one of these things, I probably wouldn't trade it away. I'd probably toss it in one of my white decks.
And I would put it in my Rune of the Hidden Realms deck.
Oh, absolutely. You know, actually, I almost want to say this in Brago better than that. Because,
But
yeah.
the thing is with Brago is that
yeah,
everything flickers and her bolstered counters would just go away.
Yeah, but the same thing could be said for... no, you could put 1/1 counters on the things that you don't plan to flicker.
1/1 counters on the Hornet Queen tokens.
Anyways, we need... No, not on the Hornet tokens because they don't trigger this because it's non-token creature.
I know, but just like when Hornet Queen comes in, if I flicker Hornet Queen,
okay.
I'll put it on one of those.
Anyways.
Yes.
Anyways.
So...
alright, so...
do we want to cover Lieutenant? Okay,
no.
We're going to go straight
because
on
we do not have time.
Ojite. Okay.
Alright. Ojite, which I love. I love Ojite, the one from Fate Reforged.
This is actually cheaper than the Fate Reforged Ojite.
Oh, which is so cool.
5
okay.
mana.
So Ojite, 5 mana.
For a 5/4 flyer.
For a 5/4 flyer.
Ojite's a dude, by the way.
What?
Ojite's a dude.
Did I call her a she?
Yes.
Gosh darn it, this stupid... How do you even know? Anyways.
I read the lore.
Well, okay, good for you. What are you, holding a podcast or something? Weirdo. Okay, so... Ojite is now 2 less
expensive.
Yeah, which is awesome. 5 mana for a 5/4 flyer. It has hexproof as long as it's untapped, which means that this thing is getting vigilance. I want it to have vigilance.
Yes.
Because that essentially just gives it permanent hexproof. Whenever Dragon Lord Ojite deals damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put them into your hand.
One of them.
Or put one of them in your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. So it's like Scry 3, except one of them goes in your hand. Actually, well, not necessarily. Anyways, card advantage, I think that's really strong.
Yes.
I feel like these Elder Dragons, although they are meant to be big, fat, expensive dragons, I feel like they're almost getting pushed to standard. Because that's really good card advantage.
Yes.
That is digging.
That is really good digging.
And it's good evasion. I mean, I don't know. Like, again, I'm not a standard player, but I feel like they're at least trying to push these into standard.
Yes.
Are all of them going to make it into standard? No, but card advantage is there. That's really strong.
Yes, and it's really good.
Maybe some of the Jeskai decks are a little too quick for this, but honestly, that's good.
I think they're trying to give bombs for like a 5-color dragon tribal deck. I think they're trying to make that a thing.
Do you think they're trying to make it a thing, or do you think you just wanted to make it a thing? Some girl's going to be gathering up all the Crucible of the Spirit Dragons that nobody's going to want. And gathering
Crucible
all...
of the Fires.
Yeah.
All dragons get +3/+3.
Yes, you're just going to be doing that. Alright, sweet. So, this is going to be really interesting. we're gonna find out now what happened to Narset.
He has a ridiculously disgusting Narset commander deck. Mono Narset commander deck. Everything else is non-creature spells. It's very difficult to defeat.
Yes, it is. It is awesome.
It is abusive and punishing.
Yes, it is wonderful.
Which is why we were so excited when we saw this.
Planeswalker! So she found her Planeswalker Spark. I'm super excited about that.
She was killed by Zurgo Helm Smasher in the other timeline, so she wasn't able to reach her spark.
Yep.
But now that Zurgo sucks,
we'll get to that.
It was a karma thing, but it made a lot of fans really angry.
Yeah. Alright, so Narset Transcendent. Now the only thing I don't like about this Planeswalker is the fact that she is going to be in Standard. I just know it. So she's going to be way expensive, which kind of stinks because I want, like, all of her. I just want all of them. Like, honestly, any deck that has those colors, I am running it. Because she is fantastic. But
let's listen to her abilities in order to know why we love it so much.
Alright, go ahead.
Alright, plus she starts out as 4 mana for 6 loyalty.
Alright, so 2 and white and blue.
Yes.
For 6 loyalty, which is... I mean, 6 loyalty is a lot for 4 mana. That's a lot.
Yes. Especially since Cure is 2 loyalty for the same converted mana cost. +1. Look at the top card of your library. Yep. If it's a non-creature, non-land card, you may reveal it and put it in your hand.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, well, of course, in my Narset deck, that would just be completely busted.
Yes.
You
can summon Narset with Narset.
I know, I'd love that. Okay, but yeah, so that's the thing. But in terms of like Standard, again, just that fixing is just fantastic. Not fixing. Sorry, what was I saying? Card advantage. That's really, really, really solid. Either you know what your next draw is going to be, or you get to draw a card, and I feel like that's really, really powerful.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's great. So her -2. So keep in mind, for 4 mana, you can drop her down -2, and she's at 4 loyalty. That's pretty good. Her -2 is whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery spell from your hand this turn, it gains Rebound.
What?
So
Rebound is the new thing that they're doing instead of Prowess.
And people who know what Rebound is, basically Rebound is, in a really basic terms, you cast the spell and it gets recast
next turn.
The beginning of the next turn. And so this is really, really good for any of the cards from the previous couple of sets or anything that's in Standard right now. But this is pretty much good for literally anything you could play. I mean, excellent in my Narset deck. To be able to just really copy this ability is phenomenal. But put this in any blue commander deck or blue-white commander deck. I mean, think about the things you could do. I mean, it's just absolutely bonkers. For instance, Lingering Souls. Let's Lingering Souls again.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, you basically, if you did that ability twice, you could get 8 spirit tokens.
No, you couldn't.
No?
No, you could. Well,
oh,
no,
yeah,
because
it's with your hands. You could get 6.
You could get 6
spirits,
and makes Lingering Souls even better. And so just you think about all the cards you wish you could have 2 of. For instance, I could brainstorm, or I could brainstorm twice. Like that's just ridiculous, you know. And just take any of the cards in these colors, or anything in red, or any other color you want to splash in. That's just so powerful. I feel like Narset Transcendent is going to be big bucks.
And that's before we even reach her ultimate.
Yeah, and I feel like she's so good. I can't think of a format she would be bad in, which makes it. That's one of the things I hate about this is that. Everybody's
gonna go crazy.
She's gonna go crazy. She's gonna be the Chase Mythic of the set, and I just hope I luckily open one in a pack because I don't have the money. I'm in college. I don't have the money to buy 2 booster boxes to ensure getting one.
Yes.
And what's the ultimate?
You get an emblem with your opponents can't cast non-creature spells. No instances, no sorceries, no other planeswalkers, no enchantments.
Just creatures, and it really limits your opponents, but also. The best part about this is you know exactly what you're getting. What's on the table is what you see. No instants, no combat tricks, no artifacts that have these weird abilities. It is just straight, watered-down magic after that.
Yes.
Like
the moment that you play down Narset, you paint a big target on your head.
Yes.
Which is probably why she doesn't have an ability that protects her.
Yes, because that's so
she's 6 loyalty.
And I feel like, actually, I feel like that would be the one thing that would keep her from Standard.
Yes.
Is that?
She's fragile.
She's very fragile. All right, so we need to go on because honestly, oh my gosh, we're gonna be yeah, we're past 30 minutes already. Whoops.
All right,
sorry, Salumgar. Now Salumgar from Fate Reforged is pretty gnarly. So let's look at what Salumgar has become.
6 mana.
Yeah.
4 Endermere.
Yep.
For a 3/5 flying death touch.
Yeah, that's good.
When
Big
Dragon Lord Salumgar enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature or planeswalker for as long as you control him.
Awesome. I really like that.
I love his art. He's like sitting on a throne. It looks like he's got something hanging around his neck.
Do you know who that is?
What?
Tarkir.
Oh my gosh.
That's Tarkir hanging from his neck. Zooming in.
Show it to them.
It's really hard because the resolution isn't there. But yeah, Tarkir is hanging from his neck as a necklace.
That's gory.
which is gory and also hilarious because Tarkir is like blowing up in Modern. Like everybody loves Tarkir, right?
Yes.
And so now the fact that you have this dragon with him around his neck is just like, yeah, this is my little trophy. I got this little medal here, and I got this little Tarkir. You know, it's just really cool. However, in terms of all the dragons, I feel like this is excellent in Commander and for kitchen table Magic, but I do not see this in Standard.
No, I see it as a mythic.
Yeah, for that, honestly, I can see MTGA headquarters opening that up and be like, oh, not another Dragon Slumgar. What does this have to be my mythic? You know I want that sauce. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah. But I feel like if I pulled one in a pack, I'd be fine with that. Mm-hmm. And honestly, if I don't get one, I'm definitely going to trade for one. It's not going to be that expensive.
Yeah.
So what happened to our good friend Sidisi?
She's a zombie naga.
Zombie naga, where is it?
There.
Oh, there she is. There she is. She's mono black. And she's a 4/6 with Death Touch.
With the new soul tie mechanic exploit. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. When she exploits a creature, you may search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library.
Okay. So, I feel like this would be excellent in Commander.
Yes.
I would put this in my Taste deck because there's a lot of 1/1 spirits. I'm totally down to sack a spirit in order to tutor.
Tutor, yeah.
Like, that's really strong. And especially, even if you take that exploit thing away, 5 mana for a 4/6 Death Touch, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That is really good. I actually really like that.
It's like the Gorgons and how hard they were to deal with in, like,
yeah.
Theros. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like this would be great in a zombie deck. Just
zombie value.
You guys who have those zombie commander decks, that's just zombie value right there. So yeah, no, that's pretty solid. We gotta keep it going, keep it going.
So Sidisi and Anafenza are both dead. Which is kind of sad. Alright.
Yep. Alright, so let's go to Dragon Lord... Colgate?
I don't know how to say... I don't know how to say her name.
Colligan. Let's just do Colligan. And honestly, who doesn't mess up a few card names when the new set comes out? Mm-hmm. Everybody does that. Okay, so 6 mana. What am I getting for 6 mana, honey?
A 6/5 flying with haste.
Ooh, smack him in the face.
Other creatures you control have haste.
Whoa.
So basically, you can play down your dash cards without paying their dash cost.
That's so busted. I love it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of all the dash cards that would benefit from this. Yes, honestly, in draft, this is a windmill slam. This is a windmill slam.
This is you open this pack too, and you're like, okay, I don't care that I was going Jeskai with this. I'm splashing black.
Yeah, you're just splashing black, and no, not splashing black. You're going heavy black.
Yeah.
Because you want to get all that Mardu stuff and get it all haste.
Yeah.
Although honestly, in draft though, if you get this out turn 6 and you haven't won yet with a really aggressive Rakdos deck, you're not doing well.
Yeah.
I guess I don't want to necessarily draft the mythics.
The ability's going to go pretty well in Standard, but not really in other places, because the last ability is whenever an opponent casts a creature or planeswalker spell with the same name as a card in his or her graveyard, that player loses 10 life. This would be crazy in Standard.
I don't think so. 6 mana. I don't know.
If you're playing something like...
Well, that's true. You're gonna be putting in Hero's Downfalls and all these other kill spells.
Though it's creature or planeswalker. So, Siege Rhinos.
Yeah, Siege Rhinos,
or
honestly.
Or Marset being everywhere.
You know what? Maybe. Like 1 or 2 of. We'll have to see. I very rarely see 6 drops in standard. But I do agree that if you're playing this really war patrician-y...
Elspeth is a 6 drop in standard.
Yeah, but she puts out stuff and protects herself, and I think there's a different story.
Okay.
I don't want to compare this to Elspeth, but I still feel like I think you do have a point. If you're playing standard and you're playing a big war patrician game, you're just trying to kill their stuff. You put this out and be like, okay, now cast your Siege Rhino. There's like 2 more in your graveyard. You're losing 10 life, and I think that really is. I think they did design this as an Abzan killer. For casual or standard, either way, 60 card decks. That's definitely a huge bomb.
Yes.
So what happened to our good friend Zergo Helm Smasher? Is this the one?
Zergo Bell Striker.
Bell Striker. All right, hold on. How do I load this, Zergo? Aha! Zergo Bell Striker. Okay. So. Oh my gosh.
This is called Rider's Karma. Because Zergo killed Narset and made it so that she couldn't be a planeswalker, they made him suck.
Okay, let's look at him. This is hold on, let me just get this centered. This is what he looks like. You see the lack of muscle mass.
Yes.
Honestly, if I worked out for like a couple weeks, like really religiously, I could probably look like that.
Yes.
As opposed to Zergo Helm Smasher,
with
which
his crazy speed versus cunning.
Like,
speed art.
Yeah.
Being really buff.
Seriously, it's just crazy. But let's look at him as a card. He's 1 red mana for a 2/2.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't bad
for
red. What else does he have? So the Zergo Bell Striker can't block creatures with power 2 or greater.
Yes.
So you can't chump.
Yes.
That
but
sucks.
He's supposed to be something that's attacking in to trigger raid or whatever.
Okay.
But he
has raid is going to be gone.
It's still going to be in standard. It's just
no, okay.
You don't think he's going to be in standard?
Probably no. I was saying mainly I'm looking at draft because raid isn't going to be in draft.
No, it's not.
But okay, so dash for 2 mana. So I guess 2 mana 2/2 dash bear.
He's also a warrior, so
yeah. Honestly,
it's with warrior tribal. But.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's definitely been mega nerfed. Mega nerf.
And they actually talk about that in the newly spoiled duress. They state that in the flavor text.
Oh yeah.
Go to black.
No, you can go ahead and look it up. I'm going to look up the next one. All right.
It's obviously duress, but the flavor text says Sarkhan was eager to take vengeance on Zergo until he saw how lowly his old foe had become.
Oh man. Okay, so let's look at a Tarka. A Tarka. So this is the Gruul one.
Yes.
Whoa.
Which has replaced Teamer. She looks crazy.
Yeah, she really does. She really does. Sorry, we should probably be telling you this. Okay, she's a 7 drop, just like before.
Show them.
Well, hold on, let me.
I thought that she looked pretty derpy for like her normal dragon.
Yeah.
But she looks really, really good.
She looks mad.
Yeah.
So Atarka, Dragon Lord Atarka. Okay, so for 7 mana, what am I getting, hon?
You're getting an 8/8, which triggers all of the Formidable, which is the new team mechanic.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yes.
So it's not unless you control a creature 4 or greater. It's if the total power among your creatures is
8 or higher.
8 or higher. Okay, cool.
8/8, flying trample.
Cool.
When Dragon Lord Atarka enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers your opponents controls.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That kills 2
Boulder
more.
Fall is 8 mana, so she basically has a Boulder Fall attached to her butt.
Which Boulder Fall was a pretty sucky card.
Yes.
But still, the fact that it's attached to a 7 mana 8/8 flying trample. I mean, essentially, your opponent needs a
counter spell in order to survive.
A counter spell or a hero's downfall, which really hard to get in draft. I don't see that it's too expensive to be putting it in standard, but I feel like kitchen tables nationwide are going to be plagued with this guy.
Yes.
Because non-standard players are going to want it. They're going to trade for that fetchy.
Or
whatever they have, and you're going to see a lot of these out and about, also in commander decks as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure people have dragon commander decks, but these are going to go right into all of them.
Like the 5-colored Shion of the Dragon or whatever his name is.
Yeah. So anyways,
and then they recently announced Surak, the Hunt Caller.
Okay.
He's a mono green, 2 and 2 green, legendary creature, human warrior, with formidable. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. And he's a 5/4.
Alright, 4 mana for a 5/4, I'll take it any day.
Yeah.
I really will.
And if your game's going well, he'll come into play with haste.
Yep.
And then everything else after that will come into play with haste as well.
Yep.
So
that's true.
He's not.
Honestly,
insane,
I feel like he's probably better off of any of these guys, with the exception of
Narset, obviously.
Yeah, but seriously, that's actually pretty cool.
Because everyone else is either dead or a Bell Striker.
That's so true. Honestly, this guy has actually turned out really, really great. However, I am wondering if he still has the ability to punch bears.
Well, he's now a 5/4, so he doesn't understand.
Sir, I don't understand. Double bear, double punched. Honestly, double bears will kill him, though, so I don't think he's going to be wearing bears anytime soon.
Yes.
But, anyways, so I believe that's it. There's so many more cards to go through, but we are actually considering to do a set review.
Yes.
Once
everything is spoiled.
Yeah.
Which is happening in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It releases in 2 weeks.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks.
It's not this weekend, it's next weekend. So
to leave you guys is there's something weird that's going to be happening at the pre-release, and it's called Dragon Fury.
Okay.
They're trying to do something fun because you know how like at Fate Reforged they had those Ugin promos.
Yeah.
And you had an opportunity to get Ugin in it.
Yeah.
And now that's selling for like crazy hundreds of dollars.
Because you want to get the alternate art Ugin. Woo!
Yeah.
Actually, honestly, those packs have really cool alternate art cards anyways, but still. Continue.
But this time, in order to give the alternate art, they let you have your very pretty dice that comes with one of your with your pre-release box, and then they have a collection of things that you can hit with your dice if you spin it right.
Oh my gosh,
What?
Okay, this reminds me of a game I used to play when I was a kid. And it was these little plastic figures. And you would flick them at your friends' figures, and it was almost like a pog kind of thing, where you'd have to knock them off the table or whatever. This seems like the same thing.
Yeah.
And it just seems really
goofy. But they're trying to...
The thing is, for a really long time, they've been trying to do these really interesting lore-inspired activities to be done while you're at a Magic tournament pre-release.
Like, for example, at like Fate Reforged or cons, I don't remember, they had like these things that you were supposed to do to
like high five another Abzan player. Woo! Check that off. I feel accomplished.
Yes, or the hero's journey, where if you carried everything, you could do special things during the release day party against the Hydra or Xenagos or whatever.
And even before that, you didn't know that because you didn't play during the Return to Ravnica cycle, but especially for Dragon's Maze, they actually had a maze, and apparently you were supposed to sign up as each one of the different guilds. And that each guild had their own progress of how they're completing the maze and some fancy pants. Okay, so Wizards have been trying for a really long time to do something interesting while you're playing Magic the Gathering. But they've missed a very important point. When we go to an event to play Magic, we want to...
Play Magic?
Yeah, I don't know, like maybe play some Magic. And if we're not playing Magic, we're watching other people play Magic. If I'm doing my round and she's still going, I want to see what cards she has, because there's new cards! Why do the little flicky thing when you got new cards?
Yeah.
I mean, they're really trying hard, and honestly, their best idea so far was the whole Ugin pack. Maybe what I'm sensing from Wizards is that they want people to stay throughout the entire event instead of just opening up new cards and then just taking them home and be like, I got some new cards, you know, and they're trying to get people to stay the whole time. But honestly, the best events I've ever seen, the best little cutie things that I've ever seen, have been store-run events.
Yes.
One of my favorites that happened was this. I think it was the Journey to Nyx pre-release.
Where I won the Fat Pack?
Yeah, where you won the Fat Pack. Now that's kind of normal, but also one thing I really loved was there was a list of things that you could accomplish. For instance, trigger heroic or do strive several times.
Yes.
Or
trigger strive 3 times or constellation
something
twice in a turn or something.
Basically, the whole idea, and this wasn't done by wizards. This was done by them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to do this, you could call over a judge, and they would hand you an envelope. Now, in the envelope, they actually had a stockpile of one of every single rare that was currently in Standard.
No, they would give you a raffle that you could potentially win that envelope.
No, still they still gave out envelopes too.
Okay, because I didn't get an envelope.
Yeah, well, it was I don't fully understand how it really worked, but essentially what happened was that they were giving out special promos for doing certain things in the game. I thought that was awesome, and it was a store-run event, and it was just really, really cool. And she got a fat pack from it, and I feel like just leave these events to the actual stores.
You don't have to force the event to happen.
Because honestly, you're going to have to remind me halfway through the event, halfway through the pre-release that this thing is happening. Because honestly, I'm just going to be like, no, I want to see what this guy's doing. Oh, cool, I want to see how this plays. I want to go there for magic, not flicking my dice around.
Yes.
You know?
Though you have potential to win one of the rare dragons, like the Lieutenant Dragon or the Dragon Lords.
Let's see, what do you get? 3 points, you get a land.
Which could either be a land or a basic land.
Oh yeah, you're totally gonna get a fetchy. Alright, a land. 9 points, you get a land and a common. Whoa, guys. Whoa. 12 points, land, common, and uncommon. Ruthless River. and so if you get 18 points, you get a land, common, and uncommon, and a rare. So.
And the rare could be like the Lieutenant Dragon.
I mean, I guess I'll do it, because if I'm going to get free cards out of it, what the heck, I'll flick whatever you want me to flick. Well, no, sorry, never mind, that's probably a bad idea. Anyways, but yeah, so I just feel like when you go to Magic event, you want to do Magic. You don't want to do these cutesy little things, because nobody ever does them. I've been to plenty of stores that don't even run those things.
Yeah.
I actually remember going to one store, and somebody's like, hey, are we going to do any of that, Dragon's Maze thing? And he's like, if you want to, go right ahead, but honestly, I'm here to run a Magic event, Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say which store said that, but they were being frank, and I think that the players actually have that same opinion. Yeah. Anyways, we've taken this way too far. This is probably hitting the 40-minute mark, but yeah. Anyways, I hope
most podcasts are about an hour long.
Okay, so this is alright. This is alright.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll keep on talking. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, no. Okay. Although I do really want to show you guys the dice, because honestly, the dice look really, really cool.
Yes, and it's supposed to be the breath of each of the 5 Elder Dragons.
Alright, whatever, sure. I just think they look cool. I like the semi-transparentness of them. I love the colors. I feel like a lot of those spin down life counters have just kind of been ye old matte, dice. I feel like those ones are actually really getting cool and fancy.
Yes.
And I feel like that's the kind of dice where you actually pay good money to get these nice D20s. Mm-hmm. So it's cool that they're actually getting fancier dice. I'm excited to get any one of those. Even the red one. I don't even play red, but I like that red color. So yeah, that's really it. That's all we wanted to talk about this episode. Definitely hit the like button. We want to figure out if this is something that you guys enjoy watching us blabber on about Magic. We certainly enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
We basically do it outside of this podcast, so we're going to try to see if we could do this. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to drop a link down below. It's going to be a link to us playing Pack Wars. That's what we're going to do after this. Mm-hmm. Play some Pack Wars if you want to watch that. That's another thing we're trying out. And it's just going to be us playing some good old Pack Wars and having a good time. But thank you so much for watching this. If you've also watched this entire really long thing, you get an extra 5 cool points, because we all know we're keeping track of cool points. So again, thank you so much for watching all this stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun for us, and we hope it's been fun for you.
Absolutely. All right. Anyways, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.